Han tohtemtik. Nahumagantik. Nanaskumtina o tatamskatna o kahkio. Kohtauinu ksemantu uihune. Yksiki pisiksi nuhtamagojan. Kiampo kehtiiga pikskei hojan. Homsiki keetaan ussem. Tatamskatna o kahkio kohtauinu ksemantu uihune. Ma joo yksi ehtoi nossem, hasei. En askumat kohtauinu. Sigi maana moiti peimsuin, kai naisiin iuin heikiset. Ja ui kuusi ja kahkiogi kui utosko vihtauni. Nän askumtina asemene piuihkomiigi. Piegaski oagi siisas notagita kohtiaan. Na moi ego. Toni kaanistamagaan taski hannaan. Ngivihtiin minigua muuta waspi. Nstomta nooski kipini kaaniujaan. Nista nooiwag nsto saapi pehkuma kaanoujaan. Jukune 1982. Ja pewitsi tasoaan. Jukunu kattaa kohtaagi ni kaani muog. Tuukumaa muogota. Tamskaat naaga kioni kaanio kokumakaan kottakaa kokumaa kehtiä. Meina kehtiä kaiwa kai spitsiek. Eikä nantou tihtou. Han otsotos oi suusku eikä avata. Ei kouma asottamaakin on kotaasik. Ja kauata kans tohtaakin. Minuuta ueso on pehtä vaavannut. Ikipi jokuma kanuutuista. Ngistankin jokuma kanuun yksipi teeriikä jokuma niikanista mahkuik. Mopsta ikikoi oskovitut sekanti kehtyit. Taapuin ohkuma kantik. Mopsta ei oskovitut sekanti on. Osami koik nehtaa oiku anuutka muu apso. Ahta yksi sakawa testamaa kojaako tehkihtiim noog mihtsit. Muu kamahtok. Muu puun tas kutsumaan. Piek kissuihkuut. Hamakaan taa kohtaanut Indian Association. Ja kun ne tenemä FSIn Igi sohkaa puhutsik in the 70s or 80s. Now ei maimtene ihtamaane. Tani kainkikaan sohkaa puhutsik ja ei tehtamaan maana. Osam piekki koi. Igi mitset et kihteja. Kaikissa muuta apua kehtämään on ikihajaatsik, yksipi, ikiviutsik. No moi nohtoi teema kai sino, eikä yksikistä apua kehtänoa, kun mä kannatin. Mä ka ego, kaikissa muun ikisukastik. Ikimana tsihtotsik, kiampokum se suhpiks kahtotsik, ahtsepoko. Ja kiettamsko taatutsik niikaani kihtaapsik. Anuutseeko no moi mihtsit naanu kuttua hei avaaja. Pukihtiin minstik. Hammakaaki sen stohtaagi asuhtamaagi on. Kiko ei kohto ainoa kun mä kantik. Kihtiikin pentuhtuukik niistä. Spii. Ja pahko ihtaan, mä mutta neitsäkäni puun ihtaan minihkoon. Niistä mutta nooski ei ole aina neuvo. Aspen uspaakan kaikki kapiaan. Epin stohtamaan kikoja hohe skoona. Eikä kuin stounamaan. Kikoja manema mikoa. Kikoja manna jahtsekan mikoa pinet igastik. No nasko maanut kikihti imo yits pihtaamak. Kiko jamma ahtsaak. Ika kuitsema kauauta tus niks imo kiko eikä taa kohtamaan. Treaties Utahe. Meitsit. Tayanano. Nemagamas negatig. Yagasios negatig. Namoyekse. Mas naiganemanete. To seize, surrender all rights to this land. White man's word. Peter Erasmus, the interpreter, Iguamma. Namoya, Utsipaktenaga. Magiguanot kagis kagi, huma mam tunaytagan. Emoniao mam tunaytagania kahkio. Yayo ego ganawa pahterano. Amma kage ketsenag. Egihtuit manemo somaptsus. Minä kottaga treaty formaankin teekin ytsmätot simagi. Amma ketsenät kaikihtiik nossem. Manes naan one vanhuts. Niin hioutaa pukehtamaan. Ospogan. Ikiä patset. Tsikema ei koppuko iki hajaaja. Espi kagiwi tsiketsik. Kitsogomasko. Namagikoy na mas naiga nossem. Namagikoya ka simonos. Ego pogo higi hayat. Sige ma ego higi suge tagati. Ego ta tum tanos kayo agnem tano. Mo gom staigi go igom tayanano. Kia no ito gumi ni swat itsuya. Ja ei tehtaman. Maga iwisipoi teto pagagam nawa. Migo saga igitog manigiteg. Treaties. Namoyom sitas tioneti masnegane Northwest Mounted Police. Espigagi waskaigan si Fort Pitt. Kagiti po sige sa. How? Pegi pasagona ugamao. Kiton agamaski. Ewi pem sekapatsik wapskoya sak. Ewi mi tsik. Ego hekaso tamago yagi chogomasko. Tan smaga wi pigo nago teni gani go anamonia. How? Peter Erasmus kito istamo. The chief wants to know. You're saying that there are going to be many of the Queen's children coming across the water. Many of them. The chief wants to know all these treaty promises that the Queen has promised us through you, Mr. Morris. What happens if those newcomers break those treaties? Alexander Morris. If I can ask Mr. Constable Cardinal Astam. This is what he said that time. An illustration. My Muslim, his dad was in Fort Pitt that time, and this is what he told me. Remember, the chief asked, what will happen when the newcomer comes from across the water and breaks this treaty? Alexander Morris said, this red coat, the Queen's policeman, I will leave you here as part of the treaty. If any of the Queen's children break these treaties, he will take care and protect you. Iguawa migo sagay, iwi nagatamata gum tipamatun. Pigo na kaoga mo niyawag, kawi kapatsik. Awan sawat kapsiskatam. Now I ask you, have no disrespect to our friend here, Constable Cardinal, have the police, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, protected our treaty. What I said in our language, I'll try to interpret. I was asked to come here to speak about treaty. I was here a year ago Also, when you guys had the treaty talk, I thank the chief and council and acknowledge the chiefs that are here and the head people, the head lady. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Sisigoniwe no Kisogona Gayahuit, the sacred rattle that sings in the spirit world. I had to go to 4 years of fasting to earn that name, named after the rock. And I said, good day, name of the Creator. This is what I was taught by my teachers. Always acknowledge Ximantu, because he's the one that lent us this life. And I've heard the leadership talk up here. One of them, your council headman, Terry Buffalo. I was chief the time he was chief. I didn't run that last summer in June. I was on council when I was 21, and 4 years later, in 1983, I was on council. And 4 years later, I became chief, until last summer. It's been a long haul. I wish I had learned this from the old people. I wish I had listened. And this is why I didn't bring handouts. Repeat, repeat, repeat. I used to hear elders repeat themselves. I'm going to go have a smoke. When they talk treaty, I used to leave. But I began to understand. The more they talk, I didn't catch on to this part, that part. Now I catch on, now I catch on. In the treaty, some of the leadership, and I thank, and the young lady that was here, the leader, council lady, wishing that more people from the community was here. I've had that same wish and prayer for years. But those of you that are here are interested. If you tell another person at home and tell that person tells somebody, it begins to spread like a pebble when you throw it on a lake, and the ripple effect it will cause. Like many people, treaties is boring. Treaties are boring. But without that treaty, we wouldn't be here. Without the treaty, the European wouldn't be here. Without the treaty, there would be no Alberta. There would be no Saskatchewan. There would be no Manitoba without the treaty. I asked that red coat to come up here as a symbol of that. That one of the reasons why the Indian Association was very strong and united back in the 70s. FSIN was very strong back then also in the 80s. I sit back many times and wonder, why is it not like that today? And in my travels and in my understandings and learning of the ceremony over the years, I've met many of the elders. Many have passed on. The elders that used to be part of that. And Musomet told me one time, you chiefs today, only half the strength to defend us. And this is a man that never went to school, a man that didn't go to boarding school, but a man that was taught our way to live off the land and the medicines and the ceremonies. You question why the Indian Association was very strong, why they were united. See these two on either side of me? They believed, and they had many ceremonial people back then that had the way of the ceremony. And they relied on the Spirit, and this is what Muslims explained to me. Napatepago esuksig Homeopathy. Homa masnai no treaties. O te tahona megnosum. Moni augo go moneskoig at his rules, at his teaching, the Western world, and you're going against. Nothing wrong with that, nosum, he said. Nothing wrong with our people getting educated. In fact, that is really awesome, he said. Mya sen toksna maksut. Maga ewan geskis tiga pegi tigego. O mahin nosum. Inaisiniu matson. Inaisiniu mamtanehtigan. Because they have to learn this way in the university in a structure all the time in 4 years. Structure, compartmentalization, he said. Our way of thinking is this way, our view. And when you're in that system, in order for you to pass that degree, you follow the instructor, the essays, the research, the papers, etc. They're like this. So our mind starts to change. We have awesome leaders today that are educated in degrees. But the fundamental of that treaty is this, that teepee outside with the sacred stem, the pipe that was used in the treaty, the ceremony, because that's all our people had. They did not have English. They had a way of life, bimatsuin, by ceremony. And nobody talks about the spirit of the treaty. I have heard very little of that discussion. There is a spirit in the treaty, and that spirit is us as people. If you learn, there's a young man sitting over there this morning after the pipe ceremony. I didn't get his name, but he was asking us some questions, one of the elders I was sitting with. If you learn the history of where we come from, there was a time when the big dinosaurs were here, our ancestors were here. That's the question he asked us. We go way back, our ancestors. In fact, I was telling him a story. Because treaties are boring, I'll switch gears into this other gear. There was a little girl that asked his mommy, "Mommy, where do humans come from?" So she began to explain, Adam and Eve had a child, and they had a child, and they had a child. That's where we come from. "Oh, thank you, Mommy." Little 5, 6-year-old. She went and asked her dad, "Daddy, where do humans come from?" "Well, a long time ago, my girl, way back, there was little monkeys, and they got bigger monkeys and gorillas, and then they become men, humans." And the little girl is scratching her head. So she runs back to Mommy and said, "I'm confused, Mommy." "Why, my girl? You told me where humans come from, and Daddy said, we come from the monkeys." And she comforted her little girl and said, "My baby," said, "don't worry. I was telling you where my side of the family come from. Your dad was telling you where side of... They come from the monkeys." But anyways, you know, our spirit of our treaty, and I mean no disrespect. I said earlier in our Cree language, the elders that are older than me, please forgive me for what I say. And a lot of times, I share things perhaps that I shouldn't share, but that part of our history of the ceremony and the spirit, because in the written text, what does it say? As long as the sun shines, the waters, not the rivers, nipi pimtsoage, as long as the waters flow. Maskosio pigege, grass grows. Here it says, as long as the rivers flow. Well, if this river dries up, does that mean our treaty is over? When you begin to understand that part of the treaty, he said to me, and I started learning about that 20 years ago, where do we come from? Nstamemagan, Aski, he said, they molded us from the earth, the first human. And Creator put water in our bodies. Maskosi, nipi. And then he took the heat from the sun and he put it in our hearts. That's why our body temperature is warm, he said. And that's why there's a lot of water in our bodies. And we come from the earth, the first human. So, where is the sun? Waters flow and the grass grows. Look to your left, look to your right, look behind you. There's the treaty. The spirit of the treaty is us as people. The spirit of the treaty is that tree. The spirit of the treaty is the rock. The spirit of the treaty is the fire. The spirit of the treaty is the sacred elements of nature. But we don't learn that. We don't understand it because we haven't learned it or we don't have the time. We've learned the Western world, university, the technology, but out there you got to go sit out there sometimes, depending on who your teacher is, in the rain, in the sun, in the wind, to learn about this way. And I guess my message today is we need to balance those today. We need to have that indigenous thought. And we need to have this Western system here. But we can't have an imbalance of it. That's where many of our communities are today. There's an imbalance. There's more Western stuff than there is the indigenous thought. Language. There's a spirit in this language. Moyo, the white man language, kanihiyawan, kapatimuan, the different languages, spirit, sige ma aski, inaisinihagan. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why I was thinking, why the Indian Association, they had many of these teachers that had that, what I just shared. And they had a handful, if you want to call it that, of educated people like Harold Cardinal, who went and spoke with the support. See the balance? The Harold Cardinals of the day and the leaders of the day that spoke English, but they had the elders here. When they went to England, there was a story from one of the elders here that I heard. You know, when they went to England in 1980, in court, and the horses were standing there at Buckingham Palace. And one of the elders took out his drum. They were marching to Buckingham Palace, and these big soldiers, armed police with their big hats, their black horses. He sang a horse song. And you know how those horses are very disciplined. Them one horses started dancing all the way down because he was praying to the horse spirit in the horse song. See what I mean? We have a connection to that way of life. And many of the people that have passed on were there in the 80s, 70s, that had that belief and that support. So we had the chiefs here and we had that support. Today we have this. We don't have many people here. We have many of our awesome chiefs and leaders, but we don't have that support. And that's one of the things, in my humble opinion, and this is only mine, that we don't move any further than in the treaty world. And the last part of this, how many of you here are status? How many are treaty? Good. See? There's more treaty people here, understanding of treaty. See how that Moniao created that statutory declaration in 1951? All of us are treaty people, but they created the statutory declaration, the Indian Registry in 1951 to make a status. The reserve, Muscogees, was set aside for treaty people. Now, everybody that was born after 1951, 65 and over, according to them, not us, not the Muscogees, they're going to say, my prediction, we set aside this reserve, you set aside this reserve for treaty people. And we look 20 years from now, there's no more treaty people. Those ones born before 1951 are on that treaty pay list. There's all status now. Kakyog status. So, here's Muscogees, 4 bands, all the 65 years and over people, the treaty people are gone. What's left in Muscogees is 10,000 status Indians. This land was reserved for treaty people. No more treaty people according to Ottawa, just status. Now, we can take the land away. The omnibus bill that National Chief Perry Bellegarde is pushing has municipal-type government systems coming down the way. They're going to be talking about that, I guess, but I get frustrated. Here's one of our own, Treaty 4 Indian, leading the national AFN office, supporting the legislation on children, the language legislation. Is that a good thing? Over here, you know, that chart I had was a teepee on this side and the crown on this side last summer. Our inherent right to language, our inherent right to child welfare, our inherent right to raise our children, inheritance. Those legislations that AFN is promoting are going to move to the crown under federal law. How many of you got post-secondary education? Use your treaty right education. When they succeed with that omnibus bill, your children aren't going to have that same right to education because it's going to flow under the federal government law policy. The omnibus bill is 900 pages long, I believe. And they inserted this in there. And the Treaty 6 analysis that we had and the treaty meetings that had taken place saw this, took this out, it's in there. To legislate, would you want Ottawa to legislate your language? That it's not even, there's only English and French, the 2 legal languages in Canada. It's not even going to be part of it. And they're pushing this and supporting it, and our own treaty person is leading the charge. That's wrong. So what do we do? I think, to me, to support our leaders, there was a call to action. Now, some of Treaty 6 elders and Treaty 7 have been talking about this for some time. And an FYI, on June 10th is what initially they were willing to host an elder spiritual gathering to help stop that omnibus bill, as they did in 1980. So they were gonna host this on June 10th. But because there's rain dances, ceremonies, chicken dances, different things, and there's only a handful of elders left to help sing and singers, we discussed amongst ourselves that in your respective home fires and your lodges, to help lift your pipe, your sweat, however you do your ceremonies on June 10th. And I'll be bringing protocol, tobacco and cloth, flags, however you call them, to help stop the omnibus bill. That's the ceremony that we're asking. The elders are asking, some of them, on June 10th. Treaty 8 are going to do it in their territory. In Treaty 7, I have to go there next week. On the 10th, Alexander, Frog Lake, and hopefully Sad Lake will make my rounds this coming week. The spirit of our ancestor to call upon him to help stop this omnibus bill. I don't know if there's any other chance, because they're going to recess on June 24th. Then they're going to go into election, and then they might have a minority government in October. So that's FYI for your information. And women, kiawa squetik, mini uyumamsita taguig to help in that ceremony in your respective lodges, because women kistawaw esoka kaki sumonot igihtuit manemusom eskoga gi sumonot tenos semigokiano gana periota egonik mamsi awi soga hatki goi. So I'm going to be asking for information in the communities the next little while here. Maga noako magantik. Everyone in this room is a sovereign person. Do we believe that? We need to believe in ourselves. We need to support and empower our leadership in that respect. We need to continue to create this awareness, because this is 140 years ago, 143 years ago, this treaty. And that's how long the system has brainwashed us. Brainwashed us into believing that we cannot do without the Indian Act, believing that we're not sovereign. We are sovereign the day before treaty, and in 2019, we're sovereign. The only difference is in 1876, they believed it, that they were sovereign people. In 2019, across Treaty 6 and Turtle Island, we don't believe we're sovereign. Many of us. There's a high number of people that don't believe. And that's sad, because treaties trump Canadian law. Treaties trump provincial law. Treaties were here before the provinces. I said earlier, you would have no Alberta sitting here, Alberta legislator, without Treaty 6, 7, and 8. The Royal Proclamation, 1763, no one may enter the land of the Indian without a treaty. None of my British subjects may enter. So the War of 1812, they chased the French out and the United Americans. The Indians from the east supported the British. So when they wanted to have the provinces, John A. Macdonald in 1867, when Canada was born, you must enter into a treaty with the rightful inhabitants of the land, which was our ancestors of Louis Bull, Samson, Montana, Ermineskin, Frog Lake, Onion Lake, Kehewan, Ochis, the Treaty 6, Saddle Lake, Cold Lake. They entered into Treaty 6. Without a treaty, Alberta could not be Alberta. Simple fact. Saskatchewan could not be the province. The prairie provinces without this treaty. Ego is so kapia, but we don't believe ourselves. So I pray that all the audience here and out there listening learn about the spirit of the treaty, learn about that way, and balance and walk into tomorrow. Because one cannot survive without the other. We have been demonstrating, government has demonstrated what it can do. Look where we're stuck. We've heard chiefs, former chiefs talk about, we're talking about that again. 50 years ago, we talked about it. But how many people over the course of 50 years learned about the ceremony and the identity of our people and the sovereign relationship to the land? We were busy getting educated. We were busy trying to fend for ourselves for many different various reasons. But can you imagine 50 years ago if we continued the journey, the people, through the Indian Association, that same discipline, that same respect, that same unified body? Can you imagine the power this community would have, the Indigenous First Nations people across this region? But we can go back to that. So that's, for me, I go like this in treaty. Treaty talks because everything is connected. And that's a teacher that I had. Now you connect the talk. You go and think and you connect the dots, he used to say. Come back to me. I mean, no disrespect to anybody. I don't know anything. I don't know anything any more than anybody here. I'm just passing information on that was told to me. And I don't have a little laptop here. It's all up here. Because they said, listen, use this ear, retain the knowledge, speak from here. And that's why I didn't produce any paper. I asked the creator, what do I do here? And if I offended anybody here, that was not my intent. Please forgive me. To the elders, please forgive me if I crossed the border in sharing information. To the leaders, please forgive me if I've offended you. I did not intend that to anyone. To the youth, take heart. Use this when you go ask. But you can go like this too. I spent a lot of tobacco grading this information. That's what it took for me, young people. This, ask. Tobacco, cigarettes, to learn, a lot of gifting. Because I wanted to learn. I wanted to know what it was like the day before treaty and how beautiful that way of life was. I don't know it all, but what parts I was told, that was a beautiful way of life. We had no unemployment. We had no homeless people. We had no drug problem, no alcohol problem. People cared and shared in the tribe and the way of life that they've had since time immemorial. And then a treaty came, then the Indian Act, and all hell broke loose. And that's where we are today. But we are persevered through all that, and we can for the next generation. As that young lady said, if not for me, then for your grandkids and your great-grandkids. So it's good that you continue to have these. You can't have enough of these. Because if one of you pick up something from the next 3 days, that's one more than last year. If 10 of you believe and learn from last year to here, that's great. If it's 20 people, if it's 50 people, that's even better. Then you can go and spread the word. So I thank you once again. I see my friend Jimmy is here. Nanaskum tinawa, epiwi kumi. Mina, ikay nanto getihto ignaspat. Mantuga kyo gawi soim go manot kagis kag. Hay gip mai tino no kumagan tigip nan tohtoig. Hay.